All right, welcome everybody. Thank you, Jane. Hello, Dr. Gordon Medlock. Welcome, Mike. Hello, Kartik Rao. Welcome. This is Career Lab Wednesday. We'll get started officially here in a few minutes. But we meet every Wednesday, noon to 1 p.m. Central Time. Our job is to support you in your career. So any questions you have, any career-related questions is fair game. Whether you're starting off in your career, whether you've been at a company for years and due to pandemic or whatever else, you're looking at a jump, you can ask any questions that serve you. So the best way for you to join is for you to jump in on this Zoom meeting, and that way we can work with you one-to-one. If you're unable to and you're just streaming through LinkedIn Live, you can always type your questions into the comment section and Jane Coletto will get those over to us. So it is noon. Welcome everybody. Welcome Patty, good to have you here. Welcome again, Kartik, Mike, and Dr. Medlock. Great to have you here. Dr. Medlock, as we're launching off and some more people are joining in here, is there anything you'd like to share with us about networking?
Well, just to say, first of all, to start, I think this is the most important part of the job search process. And it's a life skill for your career that a lot of people only kind of start focusing on networking when they're looking for a job. And the real secret is to be networking in your career all the time. Finding people who are like-minded, who are doing things similar, who are on projects that you're interested in, being a net giver, contributing thoughts to their projects, supporting them. If you're doing that all along in your career, then when you're in a transition, you've got a natural network to reach out and say, hey, I'm actually looking at a new position here, and you reach out to some of your network and they're all ready to say, sure, what can I do to support you? Because you've already been engaging and supporting them over the years. So I think the mistake that we often make is to only start thinking of networking when I'm looking for a job. So it's really a career skill, and it should be something you're doing internally to your organization, with your professional associations, with the groups that you in your particular areas of focus in your career as well. So just encourage you to be out there as a regular part of your work life, to be building those networks. So that's my 2 cents here today, George Donald, in terms of getting people to reminding them of the importance of this stuff.
Dr. Medlock, thank you so much. It's great to have you here. You've got a wealth of information, experience, and can serve people in so many different ways. And on that note, I want to say again, as we've got more people joining in, that our job is to serve you in whatever it is that you're working on. If you have questions that don't have specifically to do with networking, please ask them. No question is too small, no question is too big. Sometimes we have big questions in here and people will check back on those over the course of several weeks. So please jump in and share anything you want. A reminder that best way to share is to jump in on the Zoom link. You can find that in LinkedIn. And if you're unable to and you're just viewing in through LinkedIn Live, that's fine. You can also ask questions. Type your questions into the comment section and Jane Coletto will get those over to us. We'll do our best to answer those questions. So, hey, Chrissy, welcome, Chrissy. Christina, good to have you here. And Kai Z, welcome. Good having you here, Kai Z. So I just want to, what was that, Dr. Medlock?
I just say, Christina, you say you're from the city of El Cerrito. Where is that? Can you tell us?
Yes, hi, I'm over in the Bay Area, California.
Oh, okay. Thought maybe you were in Mexico. I'm actually in Mexico right now, so I thought maybe we were neighbors.
Right on. Oh, Christina, good to see you.
Good to see you too. And you can call me Chrissy, it's fine.
That's okay. Okay. I wasn't sure. I've known Chrissy for a little bit here.
Okay.
Good to have you. Well, Chrissy, you're on camera, and Mike, you're on camera. Any questions that you have? How can we support you today?
I'm just kind of here to listen for the conversation. I've joined some municipal management association group. And so it's a lot of networking and kind of trying to get out of my comfort zone a bit. You know, when you go to these events and you literally don't know anybody, it's kind of hard to put yourself out there. And I'll be attending a conference in October.
Okay, well, I'm just gonna infer that you have a question about how to put yourself out there.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, for starters, you're doing just that. And one of the things that we go into, and I know you're familiar with, but it applies in so many ways in career advancement, is what we call the Evolating Model. And it starts with yearning. Now, not all of us are in touch with yearnings, that the desires to be seen, understood, heard, just that basic thing that every human being has. That's the first phase. But the second phase is the one I want to just underline here, which is engagement. So people will often say, oh, what's the right thing to do? What's the right next job? What's the right person to talk to? That can just get, that might not end up going anywhere. And I still don't have a good word. I always just say refer to that as mind fucking. You can end up just kind of getting into this space where you don't actually take action. And so a very important phase is just engaging, jumping into a Zoom meeting you've never been on before, talking to somebody you haven't been before. It can be uncomfortable, and it is a very important thing to just get up and do. So way to go, Chrissy. And you might meet some people here as well that you can connect with more. Dr. Medlock, what do you guys have to add to this?
Yeah, one thing I'd like to add is I just want to also underline the fact that you are looking at, first of all, hello.
Yes.
Hey, good to see you there. Welcome. Using your professional associations is a really excellent way to network and to develop yourself. And I just actually had a meeting last night. It was a social gathering, and somebody was asking me about making a career transition from education to organizational context. And what I was recommending was the SHRM organization, the Society for Human Resource Management. Find a place where you can learn, develop, contribute within the association, because it also helps you in your narrative as you're looking for your next position. Well, what are you up to now? Well, right now I'm doing some volunteer work doing XYZ. That's much more interesting than I'm looking for a job and do you have one for me? You know, so it's got you in a proactive mode of learning and growing. So I applaud you for doing it. And I'd like to actually hear how you're doing in terms of what you're learning from working with your association. That would be helpful.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm brand new to the association, but I did attend one symposium event, and there was a bunch of networking. You know, they had us go out for beer afterwards for happy hour, and it's uncomfortable, but I exchanged business cards, made some new contacts. You know, people added me on LinkedIn. So just in the baby infancy stages of creating these connections.
Great. Good first step. Good to hear.
That next step of getting a way to follow up has been, I'm not 100% on it yet, but back when I started being conscious about staying in touch with people, networking, etc., I mean, I was terrible at it. You know, somebody give me a business card and, you know, I'd end up in my sock drawer, and there was no, I'm actually really grateful for LinkedIn in this regard. It's helped me stay in touch with people for sure. And the other one, Instagram. And even just last week, I had the coolest conversation with somebody as I was returning an Amazon thing. And there was nobody else behind me in the line. And I was upset about something. And he just asked me, how are you doing? And I was like, you know, I'm hurt and pissed off. And this guy just listened to me. And then he said, what was it like before 2008? And I was like, what? And he's like, yeah, I'm only 19. I don't remember a time without cell phones. And we went into this like just lovely conversation about stuff. And I was kind of had my mind blown. And then I left and I didn't get his Instagram. And I was like, oh, shoot, but I'll probably be back there and I'll probably see him again. So anyway, I just remembered that, just that getting in the habit of, oh, how do we stay in touch? Because I never know when in 6 months or something, somebody that I met is the perfect person to introduce to somebody else, and just this kind of things, or just getting in the habit of it. And we talk about this a lot in our programs. We call it Wonders of Intentional Influential Networking. So that's great, Chrissy. I love that you're on and that you're in the group and doing stuff, because you are an absolute gift. So the world needs you.
Thank you, George Donald. Appreciate that.
Well, let's check in with a Dr. or Mr. Siddiqui about
Yes.
his networking.
How are you?
It's been a minute.
Dr.
Good to
Gordon?
see
Yes.
you.
It's been a while. I've been busy, and thanks to both of you, I have advanced my career very much, and I'm very happy and doing a wonderful job in interacting with my colleagues. And as the phrase goes, net giver. So I think the idea is to contribute as much as to your colleagues and sort of get rewarded by that. So I think that's the one word that I will share with everybody.
Thank
Be
you.
a net giver. So I think when you share something, you try to find avenues how you could help the other guy. And that always helps.
That's great. And Dr. Siddiqui, what are you up to?
Well, I have a great position in a great company with about 25,000 employees, and I'm pretty senior. And so I'm in research and development, and I'm developing new ideas, new products for a pharmaceutical company or healthcare company. And the best part is that, it is very close to where I live. So my commute time is only 10 minutes. And so that's an additional plus for me. But I think even more is the colleagues and, how I can contribute to, with my, many years of experience as a senior citizen, how I can sort of connect with the young people and make some, good conversations, interactions or networking. And I think that has really helped a lot when people see that I can contribute in a positive way to their careers, to their ideas. And it is a lot of listening, actually, as Gordon has always indicated, that you learn a lot by listening to others. And that's a real secret, stop talking too much about yourself and get to know others. And that really helps you in networking. It helps you in expanding your horizons. It really gives you more career opportunities. So I think listening is a great art, and I think Gordon has alluded to it in many different ways, and I've learned a lot. So I thank both George and Gordon for this wonderful opportunity.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Dr. Siddiqui.
Welcome.
And I want to jump back. I want to quick share your story for everybody listening in of how you moved to a new area and you were overqualified for the places that you could get into, but then you ended up just saying, hey, you need me, I can really serve you. And that opened the door to everything that you got. And instead of that being a blocker, you just used it to get in. And
You're on the dot, George. Exactly.
I thought that was amazing. Instead of getting hung up on it, it's like, okay, well, yeah, I am overqualified, but isn't that a great thing for you?
Yeah, I mean, I never talk about the qualifications that I have on my experience. I always come as a beginner, as a learner, as a listener. And that actually unminds people, and they start interacting and they start learning and all that. And they start teaching me new things that, are new to me. So I think it's a great exchange. And I really admire Wright Institute and both of you teachers and, mentors for me. So this is a great opportunity, and I really recommend people to join this institute or listen to George and Gordon for their fantastic wisdom. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Siddiqui.
I will say that, first of all, I appreciate that, but I want you to know it's also, I think there's a community that we have here that's really important. And George Donald, I think we have an event coming up that's probably a good time to just mention and let people know about that, because I think it's it's really where the source of a lot of the perspective we have on these things is coming from.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Jane, thank
Lord.
you for
Thank
sharing that in the chat there. Dr. Medlock, I believe you're referring to the More Life training,
Right.
which is our introductory weekend training to all of our coaching programs, leadership development things. And it's a deep dive in social and emotional intelligence, as well as the Evolating model that I was sharing earlier. And it's something that a lot of coaches, therapists, lawyers who are looking for CEUs come to attend to deepen their learning and their coaching practices, and also to collect CEUs. So it's a fantastic thing. It's all online still. We're not at hybrid with it yet, but it's like no online training you've done before. We actually worked with Zoom back in the early days of the pandemic, helping with the breakout rooms and them using us to see, because we were really pushing the limits with it. So it's a fantastic thing. I would love to see you there. Sweet. Well, that's in there. So everybody joining on, this is Career Lab Wednesday. We're here every Wednesday, noon to 1 p.m. Central Time. We love it when you jump in on Zoom. We can work directly with you that way. If you're unable to, you can always type your questions into the comments section on LinkedIn, and Jane Coletta will get those over to us. We'll do our best to get to your questions here. Or if you're in Zoom and you can't come on video, feel free to type your questions into the chat. Okay, great. We're getting some questions coming in here. I want to check in with you, Mike. Is there anything that you're wanting today? How can we help you?
Thanks for asking, and thanks for having this. I turned my self view off because I realized I looked kind of glum, and I don't like to be that person, but that's who I am right now. I'm in a job search, and I'm the pink cloud of being let go from a job I wasn't satisfied in has dissipated, and now I'm realizing how hard unemployment can be, and just kind of the negative feelings that come around just not having that foundation of a job. And so I'm really sort of, kind of struggling through those kind of downer feelings and just trying to keep the action going. But it's kind of like swimming against the current of that sort of glum feeling. So that's where I'm at, and so I joined today. I know networking is the main thing that we need to do these days, and I know I'm also I'm a bit more introverted. I'm not that great with networking, so I just came here to hear the unknown unknowns that are out there for me. See what I could pick up.
Mike, first of all, I just want to acknowledge you for your vulnerability and bringing this in, because this is a reality for everybody who's in a job search. A lot of our identity is tied to who we are, what we do in our work, and a sense of identity as well as the income. And so it is there's moments where you're always going to be kind of facing that sense that you're talking about. So I appreciate you bringing it in. I know for me personally, and with people that I've worked with, is just first of all having an opportunity to name it and express it. We talk about name it to tame it as a basic principle of emotional intelligence, and it really does make a difference. Instead of letting that state just kind of overtake you, to be able to clear it with someone, to understand and normalize it. It's of course a part of the reality of life, and to know that there are going to be moments where it just feels that way. It is an isolated process a lot of times when you're looking for a job, when you're used to being plugged into 8 hours a day of some active stuff going on, and suddenly you're out of that loop. But the thing I want to emphasize, a couple things. Again, first of all, I just want to acknowledge being able to reach out and speak about that. And sometimes the network is simply having a close network of colleagues or friends that you can share this with, or a group like this. Part of why we have this group is give you people the opportunity to just voice that, because moods often have connected to them limiting beliefs tied into them. So if we're in a mood and we're feeling this kind of heaviness, then we get this, oh, shoot, I'm not good enough, or I'm not enough, or if I'd only done this, or so that negative self-talk is woven into that. And part of what we work with in our work in groups is to separate out the emotion from the thought. Feeling sad might be the emotion. I'm sad I don't have a job, or I'm angry I don't have a job. That's an energizing piece that you can work with. That's something you can work with and say, okay, if I'm feeling sad, that's where I'm feeling I need connection. I'll need to reach out more. But that limiting belief is something that we want you to challenge, because often that limiting belief is some sort of self-criticism or some kind of blame, shame, or justification, some sort of negative thinking. We call it stinking thinking, that actually is very toxic. It limits our effectiveness. It actually comes from the place where we're our little child, the inner child part of us. If you notice with kids, if something happens that's upsetting, they assume it's their fault, because as kids, we're all very egocentric. We think the world revolves around us. So that part of us comes with us as we're getting and growing older. So that's the part that's saying, you're not enough. There's got to be something wrong with you that you're in this trouble. So that's the little kid thinking. That's all that we had as kids, was this egocentric perspective. And then you can kind of say, well, first of all, this isn't about me. This is about a whole economy. This is about a whole shift in something that's going on in my market, and get some reality testing and some data to see what's really going on out there, and letting the little kid know inside of us that you're okay. It's all right. This happens. A lot of people go through transitions like this, and you're okay. And I will tell you, I'm in the process of going through the prospect of selling my home, and I go through this self-doubt all the time whenever I'm looking at what didn't get fixed, or what didn't get cleaned up, or what didn't get past the inspection. And I have to continually go through self-soothing, this exercise I'm talking about, reaching out for support, clearing myself, because once we get clear, we can then think more clearly and creatively. That mood process actually dampens our creative intelligence, and we stop having as many good ideas. So it's not just, oh, it's a good idea to get through that feeling. It's actually essential. That interpersonal skill, that intrapersonal skill, is really essential to being successful in what you're trying to do. So I just, again, want to underline that the importance of being able to name it, share it, and then separate that out and confront that limiting belief. So let me just know, how does that sit for you? I noticed your head nodding a few times, like some of that might maybe made some sense.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. It's just, I think it's a matter of making it a regular practice. What you said just about selling the house, you're going through the mental cycle yourself. And it's also, for me, it's important to not be alone with this stuff, to share it with you guys, and to share it with other peers of mine. Not everyone. I'm not going to type this up on LinkedIn yet. I'm not not ready for that. Don't know if that'd be a good idea. But just trusted friends.
This is an important point. Networking, you've got circles of networking for different purposes. You've got your safety network, which is the people you can be just totally candid and open. You can be a mess. I've got my people I can show up as a mess in, and I can get support around it, thank God. But you've also got people in your network who might be in your profession that you're wanting to actually be a possible lead to a lead. So for that person, you got to get yourself in good enough shape to have a really clear, supportive, directive communication. So you're always looking at purpose. Is my purpose here to clear my upset and get support to get back in the game? Or is my purpose to make the most out of this next lead to an opportunity? Or sometimes you get the person who can actually offer you a job today. That's your primary, if you think of it as an A, B, and C group going up, the C group would be the ones that are the actual people that can offer you a position. Those are the ones you want to really be rehearsed for. You want to have researched their company, understand who they are, how you would fit in, and all the rest of that. So to your point, yeah, different purposes.
So actually, Gordon did mention in a previous thing, an interesting book called Who Moved My Parachute? So this is a very interesting book. If Mike has not seen it, you should, because Gordon referred to that, and I got that book and I was very impressed. because it actually alludes to how you can make your network and how you can make it useful for your job search. It's a fantastic book. I'll let Gordon explain it.
Yeah, it's
Well,
great.
cool. I want to jump in here and check in with you, Mike, on everything that you're hearing and what you're getting here.
Yeah, I'm getting overlap of stuff that makes sense and it's kind of stuff I knew, but I still need to practice, but also I'm getting new insights, which so this is so you guys are doing your job, I guess.
Well, cool. And is the company that you were working with, you were a director?
I was a marketing manager and now I'm pursuing senior design roles.
Senior design. Okay. Okay, cool. And yeah, marketing is, I hear, is in, a lot of flux right now.
Yeah, and it wasn't a fit for me. I initially got there because the company was going to eliminate my position. I said, hey, do you want this marketing position? I jumped at it because I wanted to learn marketing. But then they get 5 years later, they got rid of that position.
Okay.
So now I want to get back into design.
Mhm.
Gotcha.
When you
And
refer-
what kind of design?
Yeah, good question. Yeah.
Yeah, so pretty much art right now I'm reaching for the lowest hanging fruit, which is art direction. So it's advertising websites, things like that. I'm also pursuing courses in UI UX design, which is all the rage right now.
Okay.
You want to say something about that? That's exactly what you want to be doing, is developing a skill set while you're in the process, because that's a great story. Tell us a little bit about what you're learning here.
In UI UX, is that?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So what I did for a long time was basically just art direction for websites, graphic design, some creative direction, working with clients, a lot of working with clients and design ambassadorship. UI UX design focuses more on, let me talk more about UX, because that's the real transition that I'm moving into. So UI is user interface. It's just how stuff looks. UX is how it behaves. So it's designing how people go through a website, how people go through an app, and it involves research. It involves just prototyping, design. Then you hand it off to an implementation team, and then it's tested, and then it goes through the cycle again. You do iterations of it until it's where you want it, or you just continually optimize.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. So what I used to do was just waterfall design, which is a begin designing the website, finish designing the website, you're done. UX is more, you got to research a whole bunch more, put that research into action, and then test, and then regroup and redo and regroup.
Okay.
And redo.
Mm-hmm.
This is like the way that my historical way of thinking about technology was like, oh, you build it, you're done, and it runs. And I'm hearing you say it's something that somebody else was sharing with me recently. Is like, no, it's kind of like you can take a potted plant that's dying and you can turn it into like 20 acres of luscious plants that are working together, but it takes care. It's like farming or cultivating, stuff that's there. So that's what I'm hearing as UX, is that it's an ongoing process.
Right.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
It also makes sense that must be where the market is going, and that's where the jobs are going, right? So to build that skill set, and to just underline for other people who are listening, this is, again, you're creating also a narrative about your own development by doing this. So when you're interviewing and you're talking, you're networking, you share what you're learning about UX. You're sharing about user experience. You may be sharing a story about a particular piece that you're getting about it, what you're thinking about, what do they know about it. Suddenly you're having conversations in the area you want to be moving. And that's what's going to kind of drive the direction of what you're going, where you're going. So at the very least, it'll enhance your education about it, and you'll be getting multiple perspectives and multiple stories, and it often can lead to a position. So that's, and to return to that comment that Dr. Siddiqui mentioned, it's what color is your parachute? And there are 3 chapters that highlight that this is when throwing yourself on the resume pile, it's kind of like throwing yourself on the, I think of on the pyre. You know, it's like that's a process for HR to rule people out, is what it is. And so that's everybody's got to do it because it makes sense, but it's, you know, it's not the heart of the process. The heart of the process is personal networking, and informational interviewing is part of what Richard Bowles, the author of that book, really focuses on. And informational interviewing is where you're talking to people who are doing the job you want to be doing. So as you're getting a vision of what you're looking for, find out who's doing this user experience work, talk to them about it, interview them, get another sense about it, learn about it, and at the same time, share what you're learning as it's appropriate as you're engaging with them. So it becomes a focus on your learning with them, but you're also sharing more of yourself. And then at the end of a call like that, you don't ask for a job. You're saying, do you know anybody else who I might be able to talk to help deepen my understanding of the field? That's something that people can easily give because they will have had a conversation with you. They can say, oh yeah, my friend Fred is actually just moving into that market in this other position. The company really is looking for people right now. Why don't you give him a call? So that request, after a really good opportunity to let somebody share about their experience in informing you, is the magic of informational interviewing. So to reinforce that comment earlier, that is a very good reference. There are 3 chapters. It's a section, I think it's like chapters 5, 6, or 7 in his book, but it's when other things aren't working, here's what you need to do, because this is where most of the jobs come through. So hope that helps.
That's great.
That is, yeah, Mike, how does that land?
Pretty well.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's what you're saying is these are things that I have heard, but to me, in my my introverted nature, I need to keep hearing them until I
Well, look, I want to also debunk the idea of introverted as like this problem. You know, well, the difference between introverts and extroverts, I'm going to reframe it. Introverts actually seek deep one-to-one contact with people. They want something substantive to happen. They want to share at a deeper level. Whereas extroverts are out there glad handing, saying hi, energizing the group. They love to be in the energy of the group. It's a different energy. It doesn't mean that introverts are not relationship focused. It's more about a kind of depth. And so one-on-one is often the preferred approach. You know, and when I go to a party, for example, my introvert is really operating primarily. I look for a substantive one-on-one conversation that if I leave that party with a really good sense of an experience with another human being that matters, that's what counts for me. So it's not that I was the center of the party or kind of generating all the energy. There are people that do that, and God bless them. We need them, but introverts they get a bad rap. So I just want you to reframe introversion as a gift, and maybe even use a different term. Like, I'm really deeply relationship focused on getting to substance with people.
Thinking as you're saying that, as you're sort of calling that out, that just might be negative self-talk that's preventing me from making the introduction.
Yeah, exactly. Good call. Good catch. That's good catch. That's the secret. Oh, whoops. Because our brains are always trying to protect us. They've got these cunning maneuvers. They want to protect you from the hurt or disappointment you might have if you make a call. It says, don't make a call. You're an introvert. You know, so you caught it in the moment, and you can say, okay, thank you for sharing, but I can handle this. You know, so shut up, brain. I'm going to just go follow this positive thing I'm seeing. So thanks, Mike. I really appreciate your participation today.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Mike, do you have a next step to build on this empowering belief of making contact?
Yeah. I think it's just what came up, which is when Gordon said, find people who are doing what I want. The people who have the job I want, reach out to them. Hey, I see you are user experience designer at X. Can I talk to you for 20 minutes? I have 2 to 3 questions about what you do.
Yeah, perfect.
That's
Great.
awesome. Yeah, that underlines something actually right at 1 o'clock at the end of this meeting. I'm having a conversation with somebody who reached out saying, hey, I'm interested in becoming a coach. I was looking at what you do. Are you open to talking? And I was like, sure. And so cool. I look forward to hearing about how the conversations go and what you discover.
Yeah.
Well, sweet. Thank you so much, Mike and Dr. Medlock and Siddiqui. Kartik, you had messaged me that you wanted to share something. Are you able to jump in?
Yeah. Hi.
Hey,
Hi,
Kartik,
George.
welcome.
Thank you for having me here, and I want to apologize for having the camera, switched off. It's unfortunately COVID season for me out here, so sort of looking well, glum or in a mess per se.
Oh, I'm
But
so sorry to hear that. I hope you're feeling a little better.
I definitely am feeling better, but for some reason my nose doesn't operate, so it's completely runny. I'm completely fine, but my body is saying, "No, you aren't." So that's where I'm at currently.
Gotcha.
So thank you for this opportunity, and I wanted to run this question by you, where some background about me. Basically, I'm transitioning from a completely tech-focused role into now a luxury brand management role, which now has me taking a master's program this fall. So this October, I'll be essentially going to Europe, that is in France, for my master's program. And since this is a completely new spectrum for me, I essentially wanted to understand how is it that I am supposed to network, given that there is no safety net. So I do not have there is supposed to be, as Gordon mentioned, your trusted circle within networking as well. But within this spectrum, within the gambit of luxury, I have no such folks around. So it's like a landmine, and I want to ensure that I don't step on any when I'm making the first step.
Whoa.
Very interesting. So luxury brand management, can you tell us a little bit about what that is as a field?
Yeah. Okay. So essentially, it's okay. So if I'm putting it in a very layman term, it's essentially ensuring that the consumer sees value in the luxury products you or they purchase. And it is your duty as an employee of a certain luxury brand to communicate said value to the consumer so that they can finally make the justified purchase of spending thousands and tens of thousands of dollars on a luxury product such as a Louis Vuitton bag or a Gucci bag or the likes of such. I have to communicate that value and have to ensure that the consumer neuroscience is in tandem what we are communicating.
Very interesting.
And you don't know any of these people?
No, I mean, this is, to be honest, I was in completely tech-focused background. So Accenture, software development, all of that. And then I moved on to some tech consulting, marketing consulting. And then I sort of realized that, okay, all of this I like, but I do not love. And luxury is where, the passion for me always lied in, preferably in fragrances. And I thought, what, I might as well take the leap, because if not now, when? So I took that leap, and now I luckily got myself enrolled into the second globally ranked program. So I'm now I'm trudging forward. So it's an open field, and I just want to make sure that I network well and have a great career ahead.
That's a great story. I love that, and I love the way you're following your own passion and interest to do it. So but you started in the tech area, is that correct?
Yeah. Correct. So I am a software engineer by graduation. I am an engineer, 4 years computer science.
Cool. So one of the secrets here is going to be, how do you blend your experience and expertise as a software engineer into this new luxury brand management area? You mentioned actually the neuroscience of consumer behavior.
Right.
So that's already getting that what I'm talking about. But how do you see your bringing, because that's really important. You want to, when you're looking at building a career, it's how do you see this leading to this, leading to this. So help connect the dots as though we're part of your networking meeting right now about how this is a build from how you're leveraging some of what you've learned from this into this new field.
Okay, so if I'm going back to my software engineering days, it was where I was employed to solve problems, and I've always been somewhat analytical, and I've always wanted to be creative, but I had always a strong affinity for being analytical. So solving problems is what I always loved. It's where I always felt comfortable in, and that is why I got into the business analytics side of software, engineering per se, where I used to solve a lot of problems. This segued into consulting for marketing companies, where now I understood, okay, I love consulting, I love solving problems, but now, you know what, let me tackle the creative side as well, because I want to try, I want to create something that inspires through brand management. And essentially, I had fallen in love with the idea of consumer psychology. Basically, that, it is upon me as a person to convince the consumer that, hey, look, this is the right product for you, and let me tell you why. And to have that power, to have that communication skills to express to a brand is something that I loved, and I started doing through as a marketing consultant. And now I finally thought, you know what, here I am. Luxury brand management is the way to go.
Beautiful job. Beautiful job. So I get the dots. I get the connection, and it's very persuasive. So
Right.
So you just work with that. Sometimes you'll
Okay.
say that, sometimes you don't even need to say it, but that you clearly have a narrative about where you're going, that if people are confused or have a question, you can connect the dots for them. So
Right.
that's cool. Yeah, Siddiqui.
Yeah, I have a comment here. If you have a software background, you
Yeah.
must know the basic idea of neural networks. And it's basically based on what's called backpropagation model, in which you have a consumer or an output corrected by the input. How basically the backpropagation allows the model to improve. Okay.
Correct.
So
Correct.
using that as a paradigm for your so-called consumer psychology, the best thing is that when you're talking about fragrance, a fragrance actually uses many neurons in the nose, and there are different receptors. And actually, it's a combination of receptors in the nose that allows you to differentiate between a good fragrance and not so good, and something that you love. And so what you are trying to do is use your software background to convince the luxury consumer to say that you might be able to program something in a way that might be an ideal fragrance for their happiness, for their joy, for their accomplishment. And so you can use your software background in a way that is actually very scientific, very psychology, very neuroscience based, and you can combine your software engineering, especially using the backpropagation model for that. So it's not that far. You are very close to that. All you have to do is really combine it. And actually, I will recommend attend some TED Talks. There are a lot of TED Talks of 15 minutes, which allow you to connect to people in a way. And so about 2 or 3 hours of TED Talks will make you an expert in consumer psychology and how to connect. So that's my 2 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Siddiqui, Dr. Siddiqui. Thank you so much.
Welcome. Welcome.
That is beautiful. Thank you. Thank you. And so Kartik, I'm wanting, I think you've got a lot you're working with here now. And you had said that when you're going to this location, you're fresh in there, you're just meeting people. Are you, how are you feeling now about being confident with that, and like you're going in with the prepared?
Right. So, I mean, to be very frank, I've, added the previous batch of my essential master's degree, and I've had like several conversations with them. I've had a lot of conversations with alumni who have segued from a similar kind of transition, basically different roles into different roles. So I had sort of an understanding of what is to be expected when I go there. And now that I have a stronger understanding of how I can project my own ideology and why I chose this path, I think it sort of makes it a bit more, it instills a lot more confidence in me, in where I can essentially tackle it with ease per se.
Beautiful. Okay. So one of the things when you're going into the conversations and in selling is, and you might check out our training, the More Life training that we were talking about. We work with a lot of people in sales, because it's not about selling people something. is
Correct.
really about the relationship, really
Right.
about that and the vision for them. When I've bought things that just seemed like luxury things to me, like things
Right.
that I would never have historically bought because it's too much
Correct.
money.
Right.
But when I did it, it came out of a sense of vision that somebody was holding for me, and and having to be like, wow, okay, this is a way for me to live into my potential. This is helping me realize something about myself. I come from a conservative Mennonite background where luxury was bad. Like,
Right.
you just don't do
Right.
that. You drive black cars with black bumpers, and anything showy is evil. So,
Right.
so, you know, like to learn, I mean, that I'm wearing a suit is even transformation. So anyway,
Right.
but it's this that, and so getting to know people and listening. Siddiqui, you were sharing that earlier about
Yes,
just being able to shut up and listen to people
yes,
about what they really care about.
absolutely.
And then the beautiful thing is that with your background and everything that you've been talking about, I know that you're able to provide a great deal of information. And so when you're working with analyzer types
Mhm.
who have a lot of questions, see, if I'm talking to a regulator personality, somebody who just wants the
Right.
result, I can just say,
Right.
this gets you that result. Great. That's
Right.
that's pretty easy sale, but that's not a whole lot of the
Right.
population.
Right. Right.
I've really struggled with analyzers historically because analyzers have so many questions.
Right.
And I would always take their questions as an indictment of me. And I learned that, oh no, it's just, I just need to keep feeding information and say, oh,
Right.
here's the next piece. Here's the next piece.
Right.
And most people are going to make decisions very much on their own time and all of that. So I think as you're going into this,
Right.
I think you sharing your journey and your story, see, that's inspirational to me, that you're taking the risks you're taking. I'm curious about you
Right.
now. And that I think
Thank
that's
you.
all lovely.
Okay. Again, I'm not doing a bit because I genuinely had a follow-up question. It's not. It's essentially where I wanted to understand. Now that I have this I would say this story per se that I can pitch to, and I wouldn't say just convince. It's more like express. How do I do this without being inauthentic? So networking, unfortunately, is often accompanied by this bland, hi, how are you? This is what I'm looking at. And basically a lot of, how do I say, empty statements that make it look very inauthentic, be it on LinkedIn or the very first, hi, how are you conversation with a person that you hopefully want to be in touch with. So how do you break this barrier or do not cross the barrier of being inauthentic?
Well, this is a very important piece. And I think the most important place to start is by getting to know them rather than telling them what you know. So it really starts about authentic connection. Think of authenticity as a quality of relationship rather than just a quality of self. And so if you genuinely are interested in getting to know them, why are they there? Why are they at this meeting? What are they looking for themselves? It creates a context for you to share some of what you're there for and what you want to, and then you find out if there's an overlap. So start by looking for a relationship and connection, and then let's see what evolves from that.
Great, yes. And there's a few simple things you can write down and take with you.
Okay.
When talking to someone, let's say you first have that introduction, and you might make a comment about something they're wearing, and ask them, oh, I like that. And just start in very basic, something like that. And then you can say, well, this is my first time here or something, however, just a very quick thing, and then say,
got it.
So tell me about yourself.
Okay.
Or, and some people don't like being asked that question, so you might have to kind of coax a little more. And, you can say, oh, you're with that company. What do you like about that? And some of these very simple things, but the internal process because this is, we do like actually 3 weekend trainings on this one thing I'm about ready to tell you. So, but the power of silence.
Okay.
While you're staying emotionally present and conscious to yourself and noticing where you want to jump in and speak out of your anxiety and talk about yourself or give an idea or give a solution. And instead staying with the discomfort of not saying anything just a little longer. While you're talking to people, you know, if you say, how did you come to be here this evening?
Yeah.
Got it.
And then listening, and then asking another follow-up question, something like, or a little instruction, and say more. Tell me more. Very, very basic, simple things, but the thing that happens when you're using these simple tools, typically for me, is that I get anxious,
right,
and will start over talking or doing stuff that doesn't actually help open up a listening space. So is this helping?
Yeah. I mean, I actually sort of this is related with the comment where I overshare and it sort of closes off the conversation space in terms of where sometimes I close the conversation despite it being an open-ended one because of the fact that I overshare.
Kartik, do the more life training. And that's going to help you get more in touch with your emotions and all the stuff that's going on inside of you in such a way that you're not going to need to speak as much, and you're going to be able to develop rapport. Check that out.
Got it. I've definitely saved the link. Yes.
Okay, cool. And keep checking in with us.
Definitely. Yeah, I shall be adding everyone on this call post this on LinkedIn, definitely.
Cool.
Awesome. I look forward to hearing how this goes. Mike, that's awesome. Cool. Look forward to seeing you there.
Thank you so much, guys. Thank you.
Okay.
Yes, you're welcome, Kartik. Thank you for sharing and for serving everybody. Part of everybody listening in through LinkedIn Live and on here is learning vicariously through this. So this is really great.
Glad to share.
We are coming up in our final 10 minutes here. There's a question about a fourth conversation this evening with a company where I am expecting them to either give me an offer or ask for clarification on what I am looking at an offer. If they make a verbal offer, then I will listen and be curious and wait to get to this, so something in writing. If they ask me, I don't think I want to give them a number. What do you advise? Ooh, this is following up from some of our previous ones. Dr. Medlock, I want, what do you have to say about this one?
So first of all, I want to make sure I've heard it correctly. So you're saying this is a fourth interview. Hello, SB, good to see you here. So welcome. So this is a fourth interview. You're at the point where you're looking at them probably offering you giving you an offer, and they may be quoting a number, a salary value that that they're going to expect you to respond to. So I think your instincts are correct. First of all, always to thank them for that. This is exciting. I appreciate it. Let them know that you really want to give that some consideration. If you have some questions around the offer, things you want clarification on, that's perfectly appropriate to ask for clarification at that point. If you're looking at the level of the salary package, does this include different kinds of bonus opportunities, or just get the whole picture of what the offer really entails? So you're really aware of what's going on, and they know that you're serious about this as an offer. And then generally, the time frame is a little bit subjective, but I would say no longer than within a week that you'll get back to them. And sometimes you may have other opportunities that you're also considering as you're considering this one. And so what you want to do is, if you've got somebody that you've been maybe meeting with also for several weeks or whatever, sometimes these are more prolonged, you want to be able to go, and you really would like to explore that as well. You use that week that you have to get back to them to say, I've been given an offer. I really like the offer that I'm looking at, but I've really been very interested in working with you. And I know we've been talking. Where are you at with your search right now? And I'd like to be considered for that. So you may have some things like that you're negotiating to behind the scenes. So it gives yourself a little bit of time for that. If there's a relocation involved or something like that, it also gives you some time to sort out that kind of piece. So you want to give yourself just enough time to be able to really digest it. A week is a reasonable time. Beyond that, people begin to wonder, well, he seems to be, maybe he's not that interested. He's just kind of looking at this as a backup. So it's a somewhat subjective determination of what's the right amount of time, but I would say that's a rough estimate. So before I say any more, let me just hear how you're responding to that.
I'm responding. That's kind of what I expected to hear. I'm really nervous about it not being as much as I want, and so I'm trying to just talk about it and get my mind in the framework of being curious, and to not, let my emotions show too much if I'm not happy with it.
So you already have an expectation that it's going to be a lower number than you want?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't,
Can
I
I
don't
give
know.
a line of advice here? My sense is,
Absolutely.
yeah, SB, what I think is that you should relax and just get an offer, okay? And then start negotiating, thinking about it. Just get an offer. So just be relaxed and try to say you are not interested in the offer. Just say how important is your background and how competent you are for the job. Emphasize that, okay? Don't worry about the offer at all. Just say you are extremely interested in the job and that you are really looking forward to hear from them and that you have such a great qualification that is a perfect match for the job. Don't worry about because unless you get in writing, it has no meaning at all, okay? Just don't go into that direction at all. Just say you are the most competent person and this job is for you and you are going to do your very best to accomplish that, okay? Just show that. And that's more than enough. Then when you get something in writing, then you have all the word to negotiate and go, okay? At this stage, just relax and cool yourself, okay? Don't be too emotional about it. Just say that you are the best person for them. Thank you.
So
How does
that's,
it
I'm
sound?
wondering, well, I agree with that. And I'm just wondering, why did they've said they want to give me an offer or talk to me about an offer. And so I'm just wondering why, it would be nice if it were in writing and I could respond to it. And I'm fearful
Absolutely.
of being asked to respond to it verbally.
So get in writing. So what I'm saying is that there might be, and you will be very tense because of that, but everything happens when you get that letter in black and white, okay? So, or your email, because before that or after that are two different words, okay? If it is not in writing, it could be anything, okay? They can have fifth interview, sixth interview. So just be relaxed. But what you have to do is show that you are the best person. You have to emphasize on what you can contribute to the company.
I'm gonna push this a little bit here because we're about to wrap up. Susan, is that landing?
No, that's helpful. Thank you.
I'd like to add one piece to it too, George Donald. I really agree with what you're saying, Dr. Siddiqui, in terms of not getting invested in that conversation at that time. But I would also say, be curious. You may still have some questions about the job. At this point, you want to engage with them as though you're already the employee. So you're making assumptive. So, okay, so we got the job, we got an offer. Thank you for the offer. Now I want to make sure I understand exactly what does it look like on a day of the job, or what question do I have about the quality of the product and how are you handling some of those challenges? And whatever your substantive real questions are about the position from the point of view of someone who's going to be in that position in a week, trying that on and having that mentality, get your answers at that point and have that conversation. That will have more substance than a conversation about dollars and cents.
Exactly.
I love that. Susan, so, okay, we do have to wrap. The thing that is beautiful about the internal part of that is that it's taking the anxiety and instead of me thinking I have to do something about it, but what both I'm hearing Dr. Siddiqui and Dr. Medlock saying is that's kind of beside the point at this point in time. You don't have anything in writing. And if you get something in writing, that's when you can go back and negotiate. So now, in terms of going into this, to take that anxiety and really look at what is the job like, be curious about what's there, acting like I'm already working there so that I can get what it feels like. And because that can then alert me to some other things. And it's yes. So this is fantastic.
Yeah, thank you. You were kind of going in and out. I'm sorry I didn't hear everything to respond, but I appreciate it. It's all really good advice. Thank you.
Fantastic.
Okay.
Thank you for the question. Great question. Well, everyone, we are wrapping up here. Thank you so much. Thank you, Dr. Medlock. Thank you, Dr. Siddiqui. Thank you, Mike, Chrissy, Kartik, SB, and Jane and Patty and everybody joining in today. We will be back next Wednesday. We're here noon to 1 p.m. Central every week. Jump in, share with us, ask your questions. We'll do our best to get to them. And until then, take care and happy socializing, happy networking. If you don't like the word networking, pick a different word. But are happy deeply connecting with people.
There you
Having
go.
meaningful connection.
Thank you.
Thank you
Thanks.
all.
This has been great. Thanks so much, guys.
Take care.
Awesome. Take care, everybody.